I would like to thank Dr. Eleni Iacovidou, lecturer in environmental management at Brunel University. Thank you very much, Eleni. Of course, today we are discussing about certain negative impacts of the use of recycled plastics on people. Your research found that a widely used kind of recycled plastic bottle passes more potentially harmful chemicals into their contents than newly manufactured bottles. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Absolutely. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to talk with you about the study. The study was a systematic evidence mapping of the chemicals, of the food contact chemicals, the so-called FCCs, that could be migrating from PET bottles. And we found that 150 food contact chemicals could be migrating from the PET bottles. And of these, 109 are non-authorized substances, while 48 and 44 FCCs are not included in the database the regulators are using for the chemicals. And this points to a fact that we have a lot of non-intentional substances, in fact, 113 out of the 150 chemicals that were identified to be migrating from PET bottles are non-intentionally added. So they don't come from the production stage. They could be coming from the production stage and every other stage across the PET drink bottles life cycle.
Regarding the type of these bottles, what did you find regarding those drinks bottle using recycled PET? And how common is the use of thermoplastic PET in food packaging right now?
It's not as common as one would expect, but it's starting to become a reality. And the truth is that at European level, the recycled plastic that is being used in the production of the new food contact materials abides to the safety limits of the European Food Safety Authority, called EFSA. However, the limits that are included in the regulations are not for all the substances that could be migrating in the recycled material. And that's where the safety becomes an issue.
If I can understand from what you're saying is that your research also calls for an end to the use of PET altogether. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yes. So if we want to improve our recycling, which it can happen, and it's necessary to happen if we want to promote circular economy and sustainability in the plastics economy, we have to make sure that what is returned back into the system is not just sustainable, but is also safe. And therefore, we have to ensure that the recycled plastic that is returned back into the system is clean. It doesn't have any of the substances that could be migrating across the plastic's life cycle. And we do have the processes to do that. It's just a matter of ensuring that all the reprocessors and manufacturers use these super cleaning processes, which make sure that they remove all these impurities and substances that could potentially be considered as a hazard.
Of course, we have read your research, which was really, really interesting. Which was the main purpose behind this research? And what do you believe is needed for a more careful recycling process?
We always thought that increasing recycling of plastic packaging in particular, and in a way that we can return the secondary plastic into the production of new plastic packaging. And as we know that the plastic packaging is majorly used for food contact materials, we thought that we need a good understanding of the chemicals that are embedded in the plastics. And therefore, we embarked on carrying out this study in order to understand what's happening. How do the chemicals, whether they are intentionally added on the plastics or not intentionally added on the plastics, find their way as legacy substances back into the system once we are using the secondary plastic material. And because we cannot look at all the types of plastic, we started with PET, or polyethylene terephthalate, as it's most commonly known, because it's the most commonly used plastic that is currently being recycled.
My final question for you, Eleni, is what do you think is the biggest problem right now regarding plastics? Is it people's awareness regarding recycling? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of different things. We cannot just point to a specific stakeholder across the plastic value chain. I think that it's a responsibility that all of us need to understand that we have, the role that we play in the system at large, and the responsibility that we have towards using our resources, our goods and our products in the system in an efficient way, and most importantly, understanding the value that is embedded in them. So once we drink the water or the soft drink, the plastic becomes of no value to us. So we just dispose it without thinking of the end of life fate of that product. Whereas if we put some thought into our action of disposing it, it could make a huge difference in the ability of that product to be returned back to the system via recycling. At the same way, the labeling and the way the plastic is made is also important in helping the consumers understand the value. Therefore, you also have to understand how it's designed, how it's clearly labeled, and then you also need to make it feasible for people to dispose this properly. So, there's too many things and too many stakeholders that have to come together in order to understand how to make improvements in the plastic value chain so that they can promote circularity.